Hello dear audience, welcome to our YouTube channel, a place where we share inspiring and authentic stories from history. Today, we will explore the life of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, known as the Great Emancipator, and also one of the most tragic figures in American history.
We sincerely thank you for your support. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you more valuable content.
And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. In American history, Abraham Lincoln stands tall as a symbol of freedom, equality, and perseverance.
He is celebrated as the president who preserved the Union during the Civil War and abolished slavery. Yet, behind this veneer of greatness lies a story of profound personal tragedy and loneliness. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the lonely emancipator.
Lincoln's journey into solitude began early in his life. Born on February 12, 1809, in a one-room log cabin on Sinking Spring Farm in Kentucky, young Abe faced hardship from the start.
His family was poor, and life on the frontier was harsh and unforgiving.
At the tender age of 9, Lincoln suffered his first great loss, the death of his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln.
She succumbed to milk sickness, a disease caused by drinking milk from cows that had eaten poisonous plants.
This early tragedy left a deep wound in the young boy's heart, one that would never fully heal.
Lincoln's father, Thomas, quickly remarried, bringing Sarah Bush Johnston into the family. While Sarah was kind to young Abe and encouraged his love for reading, the loss of his birth mother created a void that could never be filled.
This early experience of loss and the harsh realities of frontier life planted the seeds of melancholy that would grow throughout Lincoln's life. As Lincoln grew into adulthood, he battled with what we now recognize as clinical depression.
His contemporaries often described him as melancholic, with a somber demeanor that seemed at odds with his occasional bouts of humor. Lincoln himself referred to his condition as the hypo, short for hypochondriasis, a term used in the 19th century to describe melancholia. In 1835, Lincoln suffered another devastating blow when Anne Rutledge, believed by many to be his first love, died of typhoid fever. This loss plunged Lincoln into a deep depression, with friends fearing for his sanity.
It was during this time that Lincoln reportedly said, "I am now the most miserable man living. If what I feel were equally distributed to the whole human family, there would not be one cheerful face on the earth." Despite these emotional struggles, Lincoln persevered. He threw himself into his legal and political career, using work as a coping mechanism.
However, the specter of depression would haunt him throughout his life, manifesting in bouts of intense sadness and withdrawal. Lincoln's personal life continued to be marked by tragedy and difficulty. In 1842, he married Mary Todd, a union that would prove to be both a source of comfort and conflict.
Mary was known for her volatile temper and mood swings, which some historians believe may have been symptoms of bipolar disorder.
The Lincoln marriage was often strained.
Mary's spending habits and social ambitions clashed with Abraham's more modest and melancholic nature.
Their different personalities and the pressures of public life created a household that was often tense and unhappy.
Despite these challenges, Lincoln remained committed to his marriage, but the emotional toll was significant.
Perhaps the most heart-wrenching aspect of Lincoln's personal tragedy was the loss of his children. Of the 4 sons born to Abraham and Mary, only one would survive to adulthood.
Their second son, Edward, died in 1850 at the age of 3, likely from tuberculosis.
This loss devastated both parents, with Mary reportedly inconsolable for months. The greatest blow came in 1862, when their third son, Willie, died of typhoid fever at the age of 11. Willie's death occurred during the darkest days of the Civil War, adding personal anguish to the already overwhelming burden of leading a nation torn apart by conflict. Lincoln was observed weeping openly at Willie's bedside, a rare public display of emotion for the usually stoic president.
The loss of Willie sent Mary into a spiral of grief from which she never fully recovered. She turned to spiritualism, holding his ANCs in the White House in an attempt to contact her dead son. For Lincoln, the loss deepened his melancholy and sense of isolation. He was quoted as saying, "My poor boy,
he was too good for this earth. God has called him home.
I know that he is much better off in heaven, but then we loved him so."
It is hard to have him die.
As president during the Civil War, Lincoln faced perhaps the loneliest period of his life.
The weight of his decisions sending men to battle, dealing with incompetent generals, and wrestling with the moral implications of slavery isolated him even further.
He often worked late into the night, poring over military reports and making crucial decisions that would affect the fate of the nation.
Lincoln's cabinet, while talented, was also a source of conflict. He famously assembled a team of rivals, bringing together political opponents to serve the country.
While this strategy proved effective for governance, it left Lincoln with few true allies in his inner circle. He often felt isolated, carrying the burden of the nation's future largely alone. Even as the tide of the war turned in favor of the Union, Lincoln found little joy. The human cost of the conflict weighed heavily on him. He was known to visit field hospitals, talking with wounded soldiers and sharing in their suffering. This empathy, while admirable, further deepened his sense of responsibility and isolation. As the war drew to a close, Lincoln might have hoped for some respite from his loneliness and burdens. However, fate had one final, cruel twist in store. On April 14, 1865, just days after the Confederate surrender at Appomattox, Lincoln attended a performance at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.
It was there that John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, entered the president's box and fired a single shot into the back of Lincoln's head. The great emancipator, who had carried the weight of a nation through its darkest hour, died the next morning, surrounded by grieving friends and family. In a final, tragic irony, Lincoln's assassination came just as he was beginning to look forward to a time of peace and reconciliation.
His second inaugural address, delivered just weeks before his death, had called for malice toward none, with charity for all. These words of healing would now serve as his epitaph.
Abraham Lincoln's life was a study in contrasts, a man of humble origins who rose to the highest office in the land, a preserver of the Union who was often divided within himself, and a symbol of freedom who lived much of his life in emotional bondage.
His story reminds us that greatness often comes at a great personal cost, and that behind the facade of public strength can lie deep wells of private sorrow. As we remember Lincoln the President, the Emancipator, and the Preserver of the Union, let us also remember Lincoln the man of figure who, despite his loneliness and personal tragedies, found the strength to lead a nation through its greatest crisis. His life serves as a testament to the power of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds and personal sorrow.
Thank you for watching today's video.
If you found it valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming history stories. Feel free to leave a comment below and share your thoughts with us.
See you in the next video.